Yeah, rough seeding, mate, rough seeding. Meanwhile, I also want to remind you as well that despite one of our players having a bit of a clan tag there, they are currently teamless.
True, which means that we're about to pick him up. Suck it, Sushi. As we kick off our PvP here on Glittering Ashes LE. We're, of course, in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have a blue Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea. He, of course, is currently teamless, but for the time being, at least in-game, still repping that Alpha X banner. He is classic.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Glittering Ashes LE, we don't have the teamless player. He is representing Team NV. It is the red Protoss. It is NightMare.
They got rid of the waifus. No.
I'm telling you, it's for WTL, man. It's for
Oh, yeah. In the off-season, they did switch back to just having anime girls as their clan decal.
They did.
And I'm pretty sure it's because of Creator. Who specifically requested it, and they allowed it to happen because he was performing well.
Aye. But
yeah, WTL, they got to be a bit more professional.
Yeah, they do. So they do have now no more waifus here for Team NV. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. I'm also curious to see, like, everyone should keep an eye out for Classic in his social media, because even though he's teamless right now, I'm sure he's teamless for a reason. I'm sure he is soon not going to be, and I'm sure there are plenty of teams out there trying to vie for him.
Yeah, the bidding has been placed. We placed our bid, and yeah, we got eclipsed by a lot of the other teams and what they could offer. So
did not place our bid. I don't know if we can afford a player.
I did. I placed our bid.
Like I put a couple of Singaporean dollars on that, mate. We'll see how it pays
dollars.
off.
Whoa! Dollars? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I put $1.
Oh god. True, singular, mate, singular. But yeah, despite being teamless, he's a great player, well deserving to be on a team. And we'll see how he does here as he's opening up a little bit more aggressively. 2 adepts are on the way. NightMare chilling out here with his probe, trying to get a glimpse of what comes out of these 2 gateways.
Yeah, but so far he doesn't see much of anything. Does get a bit of a natural block, which helps with the scouting as well. Ooh. That is not just 2 probes coming out of Classic. That is 2 plus 2.
Oh yeah, a lot of adepts are going to be coming out here. Yeah, meanwhile, NightMare did open up with a much more standard double stalker, and double stalkers can take on 2 adepts. But what about 4 adepts, and can they even keep up with them? That's the question. Meanwhile, Classic does scout this with his probe. He's well aware of what the initial units are as he comes all the way back home.
Yeah, I'm going to have to utilize these adepts a little bit more defensively for the time being. But should be the biggest of deals right now, as he is looking to shade around, you know, get a little bit of sneak away from these stalkers.
Exactly, and now with 4 adepts, he can chase these stalkers down. He took down the probe, revealed his hand, and now he is trying to dive on top of these stalkers. Forces a recall.
Wow, we might even deny one of them, but it was not meant to be. In the end, these 2 stalkers do make it out of here alive, but very badly bruised.
Yeah, exactly. But now with the defensive position, with 4 stalkers, with 2 sentries on the high ground, even with a shield battery, these adepts shouldn't be able to deal too much damage. They can still threaten the mineral line, and that's probably the biggest thing here for a Classic. I'm sure he's going to be consistently just shading in, trying to get into that main base.
Not quite like so.
Yeah, he did try, but in the end, NightMare is going to be able to force him all the way back. 1 adept does get taken out, so now the firepower here is significantly lowered. But at the same time, Oracle comes in, and there was no shield battery in the main.
Yeah, a couple of stalkers being warped in defensively right now, but not before the Oracle gets 5 kills. Way more than I think these adepts could have gotten. But speaking of the adepts, they are able to sneak their way back in. How good is the target firing? Really good. As NightMare's economy is an absolute shambles right now. It's 30 workers for Classic against 18 for NightMare.
NightMare not like this. He went for a hallucinated scout earlier. He saw the Stargate. Despite seeing the Stargate, he was not ready for the Oracle. And then suddenly, a solid defense just crumbled here in the face of Classic's aggression.
It's even a follow-up Oracle coming in here. Just to get some one-shot potential, or And maybe even more than that.
Oh, exactly. Meanwhile, I don't know if you saw, but this blink is late as well by NightMare. I think he was a little bit too preoccupied, panicking, trying to defend his bases because of that. Classic's blink is even faster than NightMare's.
Yeah, despite getting the Twilight Council a little bit later, nice target firing from these Stalkers. Is able to take out at least one of these Oracles, so that's a lot less for NightMare to have to worry about. But even then, this is just about the start of his troubles.
Yeah, exactly. Another probe goes down. Lost mining time here at the natural base as well. Meanwhile, Classic setting himself up with a bit of a proxy pylon here. We'll see if he ramps up the aggression. We'll see if he even decides to go for a third base.
It's not looking too likely right now, but stranger things have happened in PvP.
Yeah, oh my god, it's a proxy gateway. We have 4 gates in total here for Classic. He does not intend to expand and take a third base, and this is a bit of a mistake here from NightMare. He's pushing out across the map. He's not going to realize how dedicated Classic is to this army.
Yeah, he's already got defenses up and running. Classic has scouted this. He knows that he's forced NightMare into an all-in at this point. And this all-in ain't gonna do much. Yeah, Blink has finished up for Classic way quicker than it finished for NightMare.
The anti-timing from NightMare, not like this. Finally, Blink does finish up for himself, but he already lost 3 of these Stalkers, almost loses the 4th, and now Classic, he can chase this down.
Yeah, he's gonna be able to take out these sentries as they retreat. NightMare going for a bit of a Hail Mary here with that Dark Shrine, but it is not even halfway done, and Classic's looking to hit, man. Classic is looking to hit very, very soon.
Exactly. What's important is that Classic is playing the safe. He gets a Robo up, which means he will have access to detection, so DTs aren't going to immediately end the game, especially if we have an Observer. Classic, he's moving out, and because he's so far ahead, mate, he even throws down a third behind this push.
Might as well. What else is he going to spend that money on? More Stalkers? He doesn't need more Stalkers.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, the Stalkers have been scouted here by NightMare. He knows the army is at his doorstep. A third base is really not what he wants to try and get right now. Oh, God.
Yeah, NightMare's completely contained right now by Classic. Oh, nice snipe on the Oracle, though. Does mean that, DTs are able to get, should be able to get a couple of swipes off before the Observer gets into position.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a good sniper or if that was a bait, because NightMare did lose like 3 or 4 Stalkers doing that. But we can't afford to lose Stalkers right now, Papi.
Yeah, I just realized how far in the back his shield batteries are, and now every single Stalker of Classic has blinked on in, will be able to one-shot these Stalkers. A couple of DTs are getting morphed or warped, but it is too little too late. Classic takes game number 1.
GG, well played. Classic takes a lead in this series. And again, NightMare was keeping up to a point, and then suddenly Classic was able to pull him apart and hold and honestly take a pretty massive lead because of that. Oh.
Yeah, honestly. It really was one of those cases where if you lose even a little bit at the beginning in the mirror matchup, it will have a knock-on effect. NightMare lost a lot more than a little bit.
Yeah,
and that had an even bigger knock-on effect.
It wasn't just the workers, like it was the workers, it was the late blink. The late blink was devastating. The fact that he forced himself into a counterattack where he attacked before he had blink and Classic did, like it was like nothing was going right for him.
Yeah, you could almost say it was like a bad dream that he had. I think there's a word for it.
Oh god.
And yeah, I don't expect his fortunes to change too much, as we are loading into Blackburn right now. He's gonna have to have something very special up his sleeve. Not Juanito, but
yes,
actually Juanito could help him. But
not Juanito.
I just noticed him typing in the chat after I said that. I was like, "Oh right, Juanito's in this tournament."
He is. People, if you want to tune into Special versus Hero, that is going to be over on Zombie Grub's channel. That should be starting in a couple of minutes.
Rip me, Micah. As we continue our PvP here on Blackburn LE, we're of course in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We of course have our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea. He is currently teamless, but still repping that Alpha X banner, at least in-game for the time being. He is the absolute Chad. He is Classic.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Blackburn LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player himself representing Team NV. It is NightMare.
Oh, they're gonna hit. A little bit of French greeting there.
Yeah, they kind of just like brush cheeks against each other, you know? Oh, God. I'm sure there's no hard feelings between these two players as they do scout each other. And again, as we would expect, both players go for that low ground wall.
Yeah, when you have a ramp like that, you may as well able to get a natural a little bit quicker, so why wouldn't you? Well, you wouldn't if you were proxying, but neither of the players is proxying, so.
Yes, not yet. As both players are throwing down their cyber cores, we should be seeing some pylon blocks here to try and delay the natural bases for both players. That is the purpose as well of these probes, and we'll see if they can get those pylons up and running, if they can even get, you know, some cyber cores up.
Yeah, that's gonna be the name of the game right now, but the probes are being chased away a little bit. I say that as NightMare doesn't have enough minerals to spare. Now he does.
There we go. Pylon gets thrown down. Meanwhile, Classic's probe. Ooh, did we miss it? Classic lost his probe.
Wow.
How?
Just one probe, man.
Oh my. Yeah, so this is actually pretty bad for Classic, to be honest. Like, to lose your scouting probe like that, one, you can't delay the natural. Two, you can't see if there even is a natural.
Three, don't take the gold as a natural.
Oh my god!
Might as well. But it's something that NightMare's gonna be scouting.
Yeah, I love this, by the way. Classic, he's like, hey, you can throw down the pylon. I didn't even want my natural base. Take it. I didn't even care. I would take the gold, mate.
Well, he may have to care a little bit right now. As yeah, that's priority numero uno right now for NightMare, is to try to take that out. It's very difficult to defend the gold base early on, but
yeah,
I feel like Classic should be able to.
I mean, he has this one Stalker on the way, so it's going to be one Stalker versus a Zealot and Stalker of NightMare here. So he doesn't have as much firepower. Oh, but he does get the first shot off. Uh oh.
Yeah, and the Zealot NightMare right now is a little bit preoccupied trying to deal with that Nexus. So I'm liking this a lot by Classic. Fighting this one at a time. The Oracle of NightMare is already out.
Both Oracles, mate. Here we go. Two ships passing in the night. Classic is headed across the map towards that third base. Meanwhile, NightMare is headed towards the gold base? Question mark? We'll see.
There's not gonna be any probes there for him to kill.
Yeah.
Classic dips in, notices the shield battery, throws out a stasis ward, but very good reactions coming out from NightMare. Only a couple of probes get caught in that.
Yeah, quickly checking the main base. Okay, Classic is set up here with a shield battery as well, so an Oracle in the main base wouldn't be doing too much damage. So far, the Oracle here is just chilling, waiting to see how saturated the space gets. Oh.
Not very saturated, and even less saturated now that a couple of probes have been taken out.
Yeah, but... Yeah, I love the recall here. It's a little bit unfortunate that the recall happened after the Pulsar beam, so NightMare wasn't quite able to fully make use of his Oracle. Meanwhile, we do see that NightMare was able to catch the Phoenix of Classic.
Yeah, like so. Now this Oracle is going to go a little bit unhindered. There is one Stalker he has to worry about, but one Stalker is the biggest of deals. Oracle gets taken out, but that Oracle has definitely paid for itself.
Oh, it really has. Well, 6+ probe kills in total. But what's scary is that Classic is still mining here. You know, he is still getting the space up and running. We can see, looking at the income graph, that Classic is ahead there in the economy.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that despite all of these worker losses, Classic is still just about even when it comes to the probes. A little bit behind on tech, but he is catching up slowly but surely.
Oh yeah. I mean, Blink is on the way for both players. We do see a Dark Shrine coming up for NightMare. I love this. Again, it's just another way to be aggressive out on the map and try and punish this gold base. But Classic has a Robo on the way.
Yeah. Observers are definitely on the horizon right now for Classic.
Aye. We'll see. We'll see if he ends up getting that observer, if it is going to be in position as well. Darkshine is still on the way though. And what's scary is that Classic is getting his natural now up and running. So he's going to be, again, looking to get his third up.
Yeah, a little bit quicker, actually a lot quicker than NightMare, but NightMare is looking to punish that greed.
Yeah, we'll see if he can. NightMare, he's throwing down 3 more gates behind this, so he is looking to stay on 2 bases for quite a bit longer. Look to try and overwhelm and overpower Classic in a similar fashion that Classic did in game number 1. We'll see if he can. Oh, these 3 Stalkers are looking incredibly vulnerable right now. Oh god, no!
Yeah, even without Blink, Classic has to jump on them, and now Blink is finished up, but so has it finished for NightMare, and there are no defenses here in the main base Classic.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of probes are going to be going down. Forces all of them to evacuate the main base as well. DTs are being morphed in here at the gold.
And they don't have Blink, so they're not going to be able to blink behind that gold-based mineral line, or that golden mineral line, I should say. Classic definitely being pulled apart right now. NightMare doing such a good job of stretching his attention.
Yeah, but NightMare's losing a lot of Stalkers right now. The DTs do get into the gold base, so they're going to be wreaking havoc. Does Classic turn around? He doesn't have to, but he doesn't have high ground vision. Yeah.
Yeah. If only that observer was in position, but it was not. It is turning around right now to try to deal with the DTs.
Yeah, 8 probe kills, a pylon as well. Not bad, not bad. It also saves NightMare from the counterattack because, again, the Stalker count for Classic was looking pretty devastating. And behind this, NightMare can take his own third.
And that's a lot of lost probes for Classic right now.
Oh, yeah.
Getting a very different, a very different dynamic, actually, from game number 1, where now Classic is on the back foot. He is getting contained. Thankfully, he does have the gold base, so that does mitigate a lot of the damage that he's taken. But if NightMare keeps this up, then Classic is going to be forced into an all-in that I don't think he can win.
Exactly. Like, look at the worker disparity right now. NightMare is ahead in those workers. As you were saying, that there is a gold base, so that does kind of make it a little bit awkward. But the DTs are going to try and slip into the natural base. There is detection, but here comes the main army.
And this is absolutely not where Classic's at right now. Forces a recall, but even more probes do get taken out. Oh, but this is a nice little pick off here for Classic.
Yeah, he does kind of come in from both ends, but it looks like NightMare may have a little bit too much. He does respect the army, though. He does blink away.
Yeah, and he gives Classic a little bit of time to rebuild, I would say. As Classic just finished up a gateway explosion.
Oh, he did. He is now caught up when it comes to gateways, but right now, he's being pulled apart. We have a bit of a Stalker force here at the gold base. The main army trying to find a way to the natural, but Classic's keeping up.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna lose his gold base, more likely than not, but he's winning this fight towards the south.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That gold base is it's not looking too great. Surprisingly, he hasn't lost too many or any probes at all here.
Yes. Chargelets are the real MVP right now for Classic. They're tanking a lot of Stalker hits, and they're providing a little bit of damage themselves. So even though the army supplies looked about even for a while, Classic just had the better army.
Yeah, he really did. Meanwhile, here we go. Classic wants to pounce upon this army. With his chargelets, he should be able to power his way through, but it means his natural is exposed, and in comes NightMare, and this time Classic doesn't have a recall.
A bit of a defensive warping right now of Zealots, but this is a really good choke point for NightMare to utilize.
It really is. At the same time, we have a War Prism across the map as well. We do see Classic trying to get some economic damage done. He does land 1 Zealot here across the map, but again, he still has to deal with the army in his main. Oh.
Or they could just blink away. Both definitely work out. Classic gets a couple of probes, but nowhere near enough to equalize. That was actually massive right now for Classic, depowering 3 gateways. So gonna follow this up.
That's actually pretty huge, mate, especially because we have a War Prism, so Classic can reinforce across the map. He does have a 3 gateway advantage compared to NightMare, so he just has better production. NightMare will have the defender's advantage, but yo, these three shield batteries are not done yet.
Yeah, and one of them was super exposed. It got taken out before the fight even began. Classic losing a couple of units. Classic losing a lot of units, actually.
Exactly, he needs more Stalkers, sorry, more Zealots here to reinforce, and he does have detection, so the random DT in there won't be doing too much, but the Warp Prism...
No Warp Prism! Was a little too exposed, so it does get taken out. Things have just gone from bad to worse right now for Classic.
Oh.
He is putting all of his attention right now into this one push, into this one force of Stalkers, but will it be enough? It's not going to be enough.
Yeah, this is not the move here for Classic. Sure, he bleaches the main base. Sure, he depowers some of the production, but he exposes his entire army. He will lose everything.
GG is called, and NightMare is going to be able to type that series sideways 1-1.
Wow. GG, well played. We are going to be going into our ace match. Yeah, it's one of those things where even though it was really cool that Classic took the gold base, we saw that he was really struggling to defend his main and his gold at the same time. Like time and time again, NightMare would come in with two forces and he would just split Classic apart.
Yeah, having gold base is great if you can defend it. And in this case, Classic could not. I think he probably went for the gold a little bit too early, and from there, didn't take too much for NightMare to really, like you said, split up his forces and keep hammering down those two bases. I will say, there was a bit of a window of opportunity there after Classic depowered those 3 gateways and, you know, push across the map with a larger army with his Warp Prism as well, but it felt like it took him a little too long to reinforce his...
Yeah.
A Warp Prism being too exposed was just about the final nail in the coffin for Classic.
Yeah, exactly. He just lost all of his momentum there. And the blink into the natural was a desperation move. I feel like he knew how far behind he was. He's like, I gotta do something. It did end up just sealing the deal here for NightMare.
I gotta do something. He ended up dying. Which is technically something.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And here we are now on Pride of Altaris. Over here to finish up this series. This best of 3, winner of this, as a reminder, will be going on to face Solar in a PvZ. But for now, we're going to have to decide which P that is, as in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner, we of course have our blue Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea. He, of course, is currently teamless, but still repping Alpha X a little bit here in game. He is Classic.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Pride of Altaris LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player himself representing Team NV. It is NightMare.
Everybody, of course, placing a couple of bets to figure out who, or which team rather, Classic gets picked up by. I have a feeling he would fit in pretty well with Team Super, personally. But yeah, I don't know if he's actually gonna get picked up by them.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There are plenty of teams out there. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets picked up by maybe one of the Chinese teams as well. But it's a really awkward position to be in because I'm sure there are a bunch of rulings about WTL rosters, and I don't think they can be updated mid-season. So I don't know if they're really looking to pick up any players right now.
I mean, they can, but the new players just aren't able to play for the team in WTL for a couple of rounds. They're pretty stringent on that. Like Cheshire, I mean, he just isn't allowed to play in WTL until I think a couple weeks from now.
Exactly. So it's possible that maybe some of those teams are looking at Classic, but there's not really any reason to pick him up until the next season of WTL. If they really
lock him down.
Yeah, I guess
Early.
They could. But yeah, we'll see how things go here. As once again, we have pretty similar openers. This time, no one has opted to take the gold base, not yet. But we'll see if they do after they get their naturals delayed.
They definitely will. Let's be real.
Oh, Classic! Oh, he's going for it! He's going for it again!
You love to see it. He was completely undeterred after his gold blaze on Blackburn got shut the heck down. But now he is gonna actually make use of his gold base.
He should. He now has enough minerals. Classic, show us the gold! Show us the gold! Ah!
Classic? Oh, wait,
Oh no, the Zealot's coming! The Zealot's coming! You need to throw it
the
down!
Zealot is coming, and he does throw it down, but right in front of the Zealot of the NightMare. This has gotten fully scouted right now, and even gets delayed a little bit.
Oh god, it does. Meanwhile, the Zealots have to back off here. In the end, NightMare will clean up the pylon in his own main base. He will get his natural up, and interestingly, he's going for Phoenixes.
Interesting. We'll see how many Phoenixes he decides to go for this time.
Exactly. Meanwhile, we just see a little bit of skirmish here in the middle of the map. One Zealot and two Stalkers, but in comes a Phoenix, and he will be able to CC these Stalkers, and just like that, NightMare will take this. Oh, but the Oracle comes in!
And will zap down the remaining Stalkers. Right now, has to be careful that Phoenix is a massive threat to the Oracle. NightMare has not stopped producing Phoenixes at the moment. He's working on his third Phoenix right now, and he really wants to take control of the skies.
Oh yeah, meanwhile we just see a recall. The Oracle actually escapes the clutches of the Phoenixes. The goal base is going to get up and running, and NightMare, he still wants to try and deny it. Again, reinforcing his army, moving out with his Phoenixes.
Oh my god, even making a 4 Phoenix right now. He's fully dedicated to mass Phoenix, which is an interesting choice because it's kind of difficult to punish a base with Phoenixes.
Yeah, like Phoenixes do a great job at killing workers. They also do a great job at CCing the army and, you know, dealing with Stalkers or dealing with Immortals. Yeah, we'll see what they can get done. Unfortunately, their primary role was to shut down the Oracle, and somehow the Oracle is still alive.
Yeah, not for long. Okay, for long. For a while longer.
Not for long! Recall is on cooldown. This Oracle will finally be shut down.
Yeah, the last thing you can really do before it gets taken out is to throw down a Revelation on top of these Phoenixes. NightMare has paused Phoenix production at the moment, so he is looking to switch into something a bit more standard, a bit more gateway heavy. As he proxies a gate here, Classic does scout this.
Oh yeah, Classic does see it, but you know what? The Adepts, they slip into the main base. We do have a triple pylon wall to try and stop the Adepts from getting into the main, and they will force the entire army of Classic a little bit out of position, but can NightMare take this fight?
Well, his own army is a bit out of position right now. The Phoenixes are doing a decent job of picking off a couple of Stalkers here and there. I believe NightMare has the gateway advantage at the moment. And he's going to have an even bigger advantage, but yeah, for the time being, Classic does have the defensive advantage, and he's making full use of it.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, this fourth gateway wasn't done, so Classic does hit a great timing here, just barely edging it out with the Stalkers, but with the Adepts, and here comes the reinforcements. NightMare is going to be able to overpower the army of Classic.
And he is completely snowballing from here. Every single Stalker got taken out earlier, and now even more are on the way. This gold base just ain't paying off a Classic right now. Desperately, he's trying to get a couple more gateways, try to get an Immortal and Blink as well, but I don't see it paying off for him unless he's able to distract NightMare for so long.
Yeah. Oh, we have the cancel the Warpin as well. The pylon goes down. Boys are forced off the line. Classic is going to lose every single unit here. As you were saying, Classic does have 3 more gateways on the way, but now it is too late. There is no way for him to hold on to his third, and NightMare doesn't want the third. He wants to end the game, mate.
Yeah, he doesn't want to chop off Classic's hand. He's going straight for the throat.
Exactly, and here we go. He's just waddling up into the natural base. The pylon is going to go down. Everything here is going to get depowered. If not mistaken, oh, never mind. I thought I saw an Immortal in production, but Classic actually canceled it. And Classic can't even go down the ramp.
He cannot, not at the moment. And I don't know if canceling that Immortal was the right move right now for Classic. I mean, he has no gas for anything whatsoever. He can't even warp in Stalkers. Did he cancel his warping by killing that? No, that doesn't make sense.
Nah, it wasn't canceled. It wasn't canceled. But he just doesn't have enough army right now. He doesn't have the economy. He's trying to get his goal base back up and running. NightMare cannot break into the main base, not yet. Oh, a couple of Phoenixes may get picked up as well.
Yeah, none of these Stalkers have anything to say about that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The Stalker count is just far too high. Phoenixes still reign supreme in the skies as well. And Classic, he's fighting his heart out. His tournament life is on the line. But GG gets called, and NightMare doesn't.
He takes that series 2-1. Very nicely done here by NightMare. Going to be being able to punish Classic's greed 2 games in a row by just by just playing as aggressively as he could to again take advantage of the fact that Classic was being greedy in the early game, and with that, he advances to face Solar.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it was interesting to see Classic's response to getting pylon blocked, specifically both on Blackburn and Pride of Altaris. Like, there was no question about it. We were even looking for it on Pride of Altaris. Like, is he just gonna take the gold again? And he does. And like, there's a lot of power behind that gold base. But again, it's risky, you know. It's a gold base for a reason, you know. High risk, high reward. And every single time, NightMare was able to scout it early. Even this most previous game, like as soon as it got thrown down.
Yeah. He was scouting for the base, saw that there was nothing, and turned around to leave, but just as that happened, you know, Classic threw it down, and he was able to take note of that. And I like that NightMare also didn't focus too much on, you know, punishing the third base specifically. He didn't focus too much on trying to deny that. Instead, he said, okay, you're getting gold base this early on. There is no way you're going to be able to defend at 2 places at once. So no matter what, I'm still getting damage, and in a mirror matchup, that has an even bigger snowball effect than it does in non-mirror.
It really does. It really does. It's really punishing in these mirror matchups because you have the same tools as your opponent. Unfortunately, Classic, even though he was mining from his gold base for quite some time and his probes weren't really being hindered, what was being hindered is the fact that he wasn't really able to spend his money. We saw his 3 additional gateways were honestly pretty late. So despite having all these minerals, he couldn't really spend his money. He didn't have charge or anything to like go into zealots or anything like that. He was very gas starved, as you were pointing out, to try and even warp in any stalkers. Oh, GG.
Yeah. G to the G. Classic gonna have to go back to or WW as he did type in, and yeah, I think Classic's just gonna have to go back to the drawing board a little bit and come up with some new strategies for PvP, specifically on these maps. You know, I love gold, and so does Classic, but yeah, he needs to figure out a way to actually defend those gold bases.
Yeah. Like, I mean, maybe you could argue this is good practice, right? Where he's like, you know, I've been working on this build. I want to try it out in a tournament. I want to see how well it holds up. But as we can see, a player of the caliber of NightMare will not let that slide. You know, he will not allow you to get that base going unhindered. So maybe not worth it. But you know, now he knows. Now Classic knows.
Yeah. He does. He is able to confirm that.